Before calling the professional, maybe it's DIYable.
Welcome to my IKEA kitchen makeover project. In this video series, I will guide you through the entire process, covering everything from HVAC relocation, tile installation, and electrical work to disconnecting gas lines, plumbing, and of course, installing IKEA kitchen cabinets like a pro. Let's get started. When hardwood flooring meets tile, there are three common approaches. The first is using a transition strip, which is what most contractors do. Indeed, I have also used that for the powder room makeover project. The second, believe it or not, is using cardboard. This is a builder method and building code has no problem with it. This creates a ramp, like a wheelchair ramp for your grandma. The third option is going the extra mile. That is the DIY quality method I will show you. In the last video, I showed you how to remove the tiles and mortar bed down to the plywood. The reason for this is that we need enough space to match the height of the hardwood floor. The classic method of floor tile installation in North America involves a mortar bed reinforced with diamond mesh lath, placed over a plastic sheet or tar paper as the base layer on top of the subfloor. This method is far too thick, and the tile usually ends up much higher than the hardwood floor. Instead of using a transition strip, the builder uses the edge piece of hardwood plank, shims it with cardboard, and secures it with polyurethane construction adhesive. This is what we have after removing the tile on the left-hand side. The goal is to make the hardwood floor level on the right. The first step is to use a thin pry bar to loosen the polyurethane adhesive between the hardwood and the subfloor. Next, switch to a medium-duty pry bar. A pro tip, never use brute force. Hardwood is very delicate and you do not want to damage it. This step involves prying up the hardwood floor, not only to loosen it from the polyurethane adhesive, but also to free it from the flooring nails. Be patient and work slowly, one section at a time. If you look closely at my hardwood floor, you will notice it has been re-stained and refinished. That was done about 10 years ago because the original color was terrible when we bought the house. Since there are 3 layers of polyurethane clear coat, we need to apply masking tape and use a utility knife to cut along the original joint. This helps create a clean edge when we pry the piece out. Next, we're going to use the pry bar on the hardwood, like I showed you earlier. If you hear that creaking sound, it is the friction from the flooring nails and also from the tongue-in groove. Take your time and work slowly. Look, this is the flooring nail. Insert the pry bar right on the flooring nail, lightly tap it in, and pry the plank up. Repeat this along the rest of the plank, and eventually the entire piece will come out. Removing the flooring nail is almost impossible. Forcing it out can damage the surface. Instead, you can use pliers or your hand to work the nail back and forth, applying metal fatigue until the bottom part breaks off. This leaves the top part permanently inside, which is perfectly fine and won't affect the floor. The next step is a bit time-consuming. We need to remove the polyurethane construction adhesive to get rid of the cardboard. This is the cheap chisel, and it is quite challenging if you just do it on the floor. The proper way is to secure the plank on a Rockwell jawhorse vise. You will get the job done after 2 days. There is no professional contractors will do this for you because they will lose money. Next, we switch the tool to an extremely sharp Japanese chisel. Take a look. The cardboard and adhesive should peel off in thin rolls. If you want to learn more about Japanese woodworking tools, I have another video where I talk about Japanese planes. Feel free to check it out if you're interested. After several hours of work, finally, both pieces are now in decent shape. You might be wondering if I could have used an electric sander. It would not work because the friction and heat turn the polyurethane into a soft goo instead of fine dust. Do the same thing directly on the floor, using a chisel as well as a woodworking plane to smooth out the subfloor. It is not easy, so be patient. Finally, we are ready for the last step. Buy a good quality tube of construction adhesive. Do not choose the cheapest option. Go for a higher-end product because you do not want the project to fail. This part is pretty much self-explanatory. You may have a question. Do I need to use flooring nails? The answer is no. If you use a good quality construction adhesive and place enough weight on top while it dries, nails are not necessary. To adjust the wood plank, you may need this tool called pull bar. It is very useful for adjusting the position of the plank. You will also need a tapping block, since you do not want to damage the edge of the hardwood, and use the tapping block to ensure the tongue and groove fit snugly. I have these weight plates that have been collecting dust in my basement, so I decided to put them to good use. You know how it is. After a certain age, many of us don't give a about working out. Place them on top of the hardwood and let the adhesive dry overnight. Here is how to apply the adhesive. Spread it all around the edges of the plank. Then apply a decent amount in the middle using a wavy motion. When you press down on top, it will bond perfectly. For a miter joint piece, make sure to apply some adhesive on the side as well. Because this plank is cut at an angle and does not have a tongue and groove, make sure you apply a decent amount of adhesive. Finally, place weight plate on each side and we are done for the day. This is how many weight plates I placed on the plank, letting it sit for 24 hours to dry. Alternatively, you can use bags of thin set. Just make sure to cover the floor with drop sheets to avoid scratches. Always check the level to ensure a high-quality DIY result. Next, we will do a dry fit using Ditra-XL and the porcelain tile. The height is slightly lower, which is ideal because once the thin set is applied, the final height will be perfect. Showing people how to install tile can easily backfire because every keyboard warrior thinks they are an expert. To shut you up, I am following the TCNA Tile Council of North America Handbook method. Honestly, you do not need to go to this extent for a kitchen floor to last 20 years, but this is strictly by the book, just to purely shut up the keyboard warriors on YouTube. Some people say Ditra does not work well and claim it does not bond properly to the tiles. Many of those people are idiots, including one of my family members who worked in the industry for 30 years, who never learned and never read. If you don't know what is the difference between polymer modified and unmodified thin set, don't call yourself a professional contractor. One more DIY tip. When installing large format porcelain plank tile, you must RTFM and really need to follow the manufacturer's instructions to avoid lippage. I think I did a pretty decent job for a DIY project. Just look at it. The transition between the hardwood and the tile is seamless and completely flat. That's what you need to do. I hope this video can really help your renovation project. Give us a thumbs up if you find this video useful. If you'd like to learn more trade secrets and DIY tips, remember to subscribe. I will show you the detailed progress of my kitchen makeover project. Thank you for watching and see you next time.